Hello there! Welcome to A World Above the Cloud, an exploration and conservation board game inspired by Ladakh, a high-altitude mountain desert in the northwestern Indian Himalayas. Designed for 1 to 6 players, A World Above the Cloud offers 3 modes of play: cooperative, competitive, and solo. While the core gameplay remains the same, each mode delivers a unique experience. In this video, you'll learn how to play cooperative mode. To learn the competitive mode, please look up our other video. Game overview. In the cooperative game, you and your fellow players are the guardians of Ladakh, working together to protect the bees and revive the 6 lost stories. Each turn, you hike across the land to gather various elements and seeds. To win, you must protect sets of 3 vital elements: wilderness, essential, and culture from each region, reviving the lost stories. However, as you gather the elements, waves of hazards are triggered, destroying the precious elements and endangering the bees. The objective is simple. Players win once all the 6 stories are revived in their respective regions. The players lose if the bee slider reaches 0. Game setup. To set up the game, gently open out the map over a flat surface at the center of the play area. The main deck consists of 90 elements and 18 hazard cards. Shuffle them together. Important: look at the deck and make sure you do not have too many hazards all together in one place. If there are, take them out and distribute them evenly back into the deck. Shuffle the deck one more time and place it face down on the main deck space. Open 6 cards from the top of the main deck and place them face up into the marked open element spaces. If any hazard cards are opened, place them aside and open more cards until all the 6 spaces are filled with element cards. Distribute the hazards back into the main deck and shuffle one more time. Add 3 seeds per player to the garden space. Total seeds equals to 3 into number of players. In this example, we'll set up the game for 3 players, thus adding 9 seeds to the garden. Also stack seeds next to the lowest petal spaces. Place 3 seeds at 1 and 2 petals each. Remove any extra seeds and place them back in the box. Place the 6 story badges in the space above the spirit deck, in any order. Shuffle the spirit cards and place them face down on the spirit deck space. Insert the bee slider onto the map at a number of petals based on your preferred difficulty. Easy, 10 petals; medium, 8 petals; hard, 6 petals; mad, 4 petals. Take it easy for your first game. Player setup. After the game is set up, players may pick their pawns and choose to start from any one of the 6 region hubs. The hubs are Leh, Kargil, Neoma, Diskit, Wanla, and Padum. Multiple players may start from the same hub. Give each player 1 cooperative reference card. The happiest player gets the dice and starts the game. Simply ask and decide amongst yourselves. If undecided, the youngest player starts. Basics. Map. Before we dive into the gameplay, let's quickly learn to read the map and element cards. The game is played on an illustrated map of Ladakh. The map is divided into 6 regions: Purik, Nubra, Sham, Zungkor, Changtang, and Zanskar. There are 4 kinds of spaces that players must count while hiking through the map. The first one is source. Sources are the boxy diamond-shaped checkpoints. Second, region hub. Hubs are larger boxy sources where players start their game. There is 1 hub per region as mentioned in the player setup. 3. Pass. Passes are the downward triangular checkpoints. 4. Null space. These are the circular checkpoints which must be counted while moving on the map, but don't yield any elements or seeds. Check the map legend for a quick reference. Basics, element cards. There are 90 real-life elements from 6 regions in the main deck. Players gather and make sets of these elements to win the game. The top left mentions the region from which the element can be gathered. The right side denotes the type of the element. Each element is categorized into one of the 3 following types: wilderness, essential, and culture. Below the region is the location from which the card can be gathered from. The player must hike through or land on the correct source to gather the element. There are 4 types of locations. Any source. Gather when you hike through any source in that region. Any pass. Gather when you hike through any pass in that region. Specific source or pass. Gather only at the location specified on the card. For example, pottery is a culture element from Sham region, and it can only be gathered by the player who hikes through or lands on Likher. Sources on the banks of water bodies. Gather at any source adjacent to the specified river or lake. So, for example, black-necked crane is a wilderness from Changtang that can be gathered from any one of the sources adjacent to Sokar Lake. At the bottom of the card is the name of the element, the Ladakhi name, and a description. These are windows into a rich and vibrant world, as well as cues for the players to create and tell stories later in the game. Gameplay intro. Players take turns going clockwise. Each turn has 3 phases in order. 1. Guardian phase is an action on your turn. 2. Refresh phase signifies end of turn. 3. Hazard phase, only if triggered. Gameplay Guardian phase. On your turn, you can select any combination of listed actions. Hike. This is a one-time mandatory action. 2. Gather. 3. Protect. 4. Plant. 5. Barter. There is no limit to the number of actions you can take on your turn. You may take the actions in any order and take the same action multiple times, except hike. Guardian action, hike. Roll both dice and move your pawn for the total value, counting spaces excluding your starting point. You can move in any direction and cross freely between regions. Hiking is a mandatory action once per turn, so plan your route wisely. For example, you are in Leh and have a dice roll of 3. There are 7 possible destinations that you could hike to, although reaching Faye might be the most beneficial since you've hiked through 2 sources. Turning back. You can change the direction of your hike and turn back when you reach a source or a pass. You must turn back if you reach a dead end. Tip. Count the spaces and decide on the route and destination before you move your pawn. Guardian action, gather. At every source, hub or pass you hike through or land on, draw 1 seed from the garden or 1 element. If an element card is open for that location, you may collect several elements or seeds in a turn depending on your route. For example, you have hiked from X to Y on a dice roll of 8. You have passed through 3 sources and 1 pass on your path. Hence, you gather a total of 4 items. You can gather the 2 open elements from Apati Da sources and 2 seeds from the remaining source and pass. If there are no open element cards available at the sources and passes you hike through, you may gather seeds instead. You can gather only 1 element or seed per source or pass each turn. You can return to the same space in a future turn to gather again, and also choose not to gather at all. There's no hand limit to how many elements or seeds you can hold. Do not open fresh element cards from the main deck as you gather elements. Do it at the end of your turn during the refresh phase. In Guardian action 3, protect. Players must protect the gathered elements as sets to take crucial actions and win the game. There are 2 types of sets, story set and wild set. each offering 2 possible actions. One quick note: move sets to the protected space on the map before you take their actions. Protected cards are out of the game and not affected by hazards. Protect story set. Story set is a set of a wilderness, an essential, and a culture element from the same region. You can use a story set to revive a story or restore 2 bees. Revive a story. To revive story, an individual player must have a story set. 2. Lay out the 3 cards in the center and tell a story interconnecting the 3 elements. The story can be realistic, imaginative, funny, serious, and so on. Be kind, and you may ask other players for helping creating the story. So in this case, our story can be that the people of Old Town went looking for this playful river otter, but instead found this butter clay. And then they took it back to Old Town for waterproofing their charming little houses. 3. Move the set to the protected space. 4. Revive the story badge on the map. 5. Draw the top spirit card and keep it face up in front of you. That's it. Revive all 6 stories to win the game. Or you can also protect a story set to restore 2 bees. Move the cards to protected space and the bee up by 2 units. Protect wild set. Wild set is a set of 3 elements of the same type from any region. You can use a wild set as a wild card or to resist a hazard. Use as wild card. You can replace the wild set as one wild card of that same type to complete a story set of any region. For example, a wild essential set is used to replace the missing essential of Zanskar and complete Zanskar's story set. However, only one element card can be replaced with a wild set, and the remaining 2 cards must be from the original region. Or resist a hazard. A player or multiple players together may contribute cards of the same element type and protect a wild set to resist an active hazard so that no elements or bees are destroyed. More details in the hazard phase. Guardian action 4. Plant seeds for powers. Seeds are shared resources gathered from the garden. Plant the gathered seeds back in the garden and enact the following powers immediately. Hop. Move 1 extra space per seed. Move as much as you need to. Hitchhike. Plant 3 seeds to take another turn after your routine turn. However, you can gather open element cards but not seeds while hitchhiking. Fly. Plant 5 seeds to instantly move to any source or pass. You can gather an element card, if open, at the destination. Bee up. Every player plants 3 seeds all at once to restore the bees. Move the bee slider up by 1 petal for 2 to 3 players and 2 petals for 4 to 6 players. Seeds are limited resources, so share them wisely. If you need seeds and there are none in the garden, use the barter action or request other players to plant them back during their turn. Remember, you can plant back the seeds you've gathered in a turn within the same turn and use the powers. Also, you can take the actions in any order, so you can fly before you roll the dice and hike too. Guardian action 5. Barter. When you meet another player on the map, either in passing or by landing together, you may give each other elements, seeds, spirit cards and hugs, as many as you like. After the active player completes all their actions, begin the refresh phase. Gameplay. Refresh phase, end of turn. Open the top cards of the main deck face up onto the empty element spaces. If all the open cards are elements, the refresh phase ends and the player on your left begins their turn. But if a hazard card is opened, immediately initiate the hazard phase. Do not open any more cards, even if there are empty element spaces available, until the open hazard is resolved. Hazard phase if triggered. Hazard cards are based on real life issues that destroy the elements and thus the bees. Each hazard has its effects twice, triggered in 2 waves. Hazard phase wave 1 Wave 1 is triggered when a hazard card is opened during refresh phase. Immediately do the following 2 steps in order to resolve it. 1. Destroy. A hazard destroys 1 or 2 elements of a particular type, either wilderness, essential or culture. According to the hazard card, players must find the specified element among the open element cards or players' hands and destroy them. Remove the elements and place them outside the game. For example, the hazard, let's say a feral dog attack, destroys 1 wilderness element. So here, an open wilderness, black-necked crane is destroyed and moved out of the game. If there are many available elements of the same type, the players can discuss and choose the element to be destroyed. If the specified element type is not open on the element spaces or in the player's hands, then nothing is destroyed. Elements once destroyed are out of the game and cannot be revived. Elements from an already revived region can still be destroyed. Cards in the protected space are not affected by the hazards. 2. B down. For every element card that is destroyed, move the B slider down by 1 petal. If the hazard destroys 2 elements, then move the B down 2 petals. The players immediately lose if the B slider reaches 0 petals. Once the hazard is resolved, move the hazard card, which is face up, to the bottom of the wave 2 pile, hazard phase wave 2. When any one of the players rolls a sum of 7 during their turn, the top card of the wave 2 hazard pile is triggered. Immediately destroy the specified element and B down, as mentioned before, to resolve the hazard. Once a hazard's second wave is resolved, move the hazard card out of the game and then the player can take their turn and hike for 7 spaces. If the wave 2 hazard pile is empty, rolling 7 has no special effect. B up and resist a hazard. B up. To survive, players will have to push the Bs up by either protecting a story set or utilizing collective seed power as mentioned in Guardian phase. Resist. The only way to stop an active hazard card is to resist using a wild set. A player or multiple players together may contribute and protect a wild set to resist an active hazard. Directly move a wave 1 hazard to the bottom of wave 2 pile and a wave 2 hazard out of the game. No elements or Bs are destroyed. If the B slider reaches 2 or 1 petals, add the seed boosts placed there to the garden. Spirit ability. Each time you revive a region's story, draw the top card of the spirit deck and place it face up in front of you. You now manifest a spirit of the land, which gives you a special ability on all your future turns as long as you hold the spirit card. You can hold more than one spirit card, but you must choose one active spirit ability for your turn before you roll the dice. The spirit abilities are as follows. Water spirit. Move 2 times your dice roll. If your starting space is adjacent to a stream, lake or river, that is, your pawn can overlap both the starting space and the water body. For example, you can move 18 spaces for a dice roll of 9. Plan your hike and stop near water to use this ability in your next turn. Air spirit. Move 2 times your dice roll. If your starting space is fully on a trekking route and not connected to a road, refer to map legend. Plan your hike and stop away from a road to use this ability in your next turn. Fire spirit. Draw the top card of the main deck. If it's an element, add it to your hand. If it's a hazard, directly move it to the bottom of the second wave hazard pile. Mountain spirit. After your dice roll, you can change one of the die value to 5. You can prevent triggering a wave 2 hazard using this ability. Life spirit. Draw 2 seeds from the garden at the start of your turn. If the garden is empty, then you get nothing. Kind spirit. On your turn, another player of your choice gets a free hike and gather for the same value as your dice roll. You move first. Conclusion. That's it. So remember, players win once all 6 stories are revived in their respective regions. The players lose if the B slider reaches 0. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you enjoy the adventure in a world above the cloud. If you have any questions, feel free to refer to the rulebook or visit floatingrockgames.com for more details. Happy hiking and storytelling!